have performed. You can evaluate yourself also. Okay, so all the best for all of you. We have around 8 or 9 presenters today, and we have a chief guest, a special guest also, who is supposed to join us at any time from now. She informed us that she has a meeting right now, but after the meeting she would be joining with us to see how you are performing, and she would also speak a few words to Echolink alumni groups. Okay.
Dr. Thomas,
Yeah.
I would like to interrupt. Dr. Meenu is here, who is she has joined actually.
Oh, he's joined already. Okay, so let me just come back to 1 minute, Dr. Dylan. 1 minute. So we are also streamlining it in YouTube, and then we can begin together. Yes, for you. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Meenu, where are you? I can. She's there somewhere. Doctor.
She's sending a message. She's there, but this, yeah. So she seems to be having some problem with her phone.
Problem with the phone. Yeah. Okay. So meanwhile, while she sort out the program, let me just give you a small introduction about what it is. No, psychoeducation series. In fact, psychoeducation is a very integral part of our therapy. It is also an integral part of our prevention programs, and whatever we do with our clients, whatever we do with our groups, where prevention programs in schools or colleges or communities. So we need to definitely do the psychoeducation for them to really understand what drug or what addiction is, how it affects them, or how it progresses as a disease, how it develops as a brain disease, and all lot of things like. Many people, they get into the world of drugs just out of curiosity, or because of the fancy around that, or because their friends tell them, but they may not know really how it grow up in them as a health issue, a big serious issue in their life. So those are the things which we have to speak to people, through psychoeducation. That's one important thing. So all of us as a therapist has to be also a psychotherapist, or a psychoeducation specialist. That's why we are organizing this program. You can speak about any topics you can take up. It is not the topic that matters, and how you prepare for that, and how you communicate that, and how you prepare your slides. And these are some of the things which all of us will be watching, to see. I tell you that this is not to rate you who is good and who is bad and things like, nothing like that. Everybody is good, definitely, in one way or the other. For addiction professionals, some of us are very good therapists, but we are not trainers. Otherwise, some of us are very good trainers, but we cannot expect us to be a good therapist. So it is a luck, or maybe a grace, we have both the capacities together, means it is a great thing. So we cannot expect sometimes. So sometimes you may not be very good as a trainer, but I'm sure you would be very good as a listener, very good as a therapist. So all these qualities are important for us as addiction professionals to work in the field. You don't need to be necessarily be a trainer to be a good therapist. So anyway, today we have only few things you keep in mind. Your timing. Of course, this is not to present a big sort of a research paper before everybody. Within a 7, maximum 8 minutes, 7 minutes, you set your program, you don't ask us to tell you, but we will give you a sign anyway. So that is one important thing. And the rest of the things, you use because you have been watching our trainers. Aditi ma'am is there, and Thiru ma'am is there. Many trainers have trained you. So you must have observed some of their training skills. So all the best. Don't worry at all. This is not to to evaluate you. To give you any marks and all. This is just for you to evaluate yourself and for us to have an idea about. Okay. All the best. So we have we welcome all the trainers today. We are starting with, I think, Dr. Dylan. Before that, we will definitely invite Dr. Manu to speak a few words of welcome for all of us. And then we can start the psychoeducation series. We have I think eight people presenting their presentations today. So Dr. J.S. Dhillon, Madam is here around somewhere?
Yes, ma'am is here and she has joined.
She is joined. So not visible, audible and things like that. Everything is working now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Ramya, are you there now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can just give a small word of welcome for everybody, and then I will introduce ma'am. Yeah.
Huh?
You want to say a word of welcome as the president of the Alumni Association?
Yes, yes.
Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and hearty welcome to everybody. It is wonderful to be back here and as part of the alumni activity and EcoLink search for trainers. This is an important event today. I wish everybody all the best and hope to see you as colleagues in the training programs in the future. All the best, you all.
Okay, so let me just introduce Madam Dr. Meenu Singh. So she is actually, she's a joint director of targeted intervention under NACO. NACO, like National AIDS Control Organization, which has been active in India for several decades actually. So she is actually, in charge of the Punjab state. She is actually, concentrating on the Punjab, but she represents the government of India for us today, For just a word of, so she also have done her PhD in this field. Not just in this field, she has studied about the role of NGOs and people like you in the promotion of HIV/AIDS prevention and drug prevention and things like that. How NGOs can work very effectively in the field. That was her topic for her PhD also. So I'm sure that she is with the people at the grassroots level, and that's why she has accepted this short time notice, very short notice. She is also the, Dr. Dhillon works with her, so they know each other, and that's how we got the reference. So I invite Madam to maybe, speak a few words about, especially about the connection between substance use and HIV/AIDS, because I'm sure that she is working in that field. Intravenous drug use is a serious issue among the HIV/AIDS spread. So if Madam is here, your systems are in order, then yes, ma'am. Then you can give a few words, let me just give you one small introduction about EcoLink Institute. We have been working since last 3 years, actually, in training addiction professionals, not only in India, but in mostly the Asian countries. We have around 20 countries, students have been studying with us. We have completed 7 international batches. The 7th batch we are completing on next Friday, that is their graduation ceremony. So around 300 addiction professionals have completed the entire curriculums of addiction management series, like UTC we call, Universal Treatment Curriculum, developed by the Colombo Plan and accepted or approved as a internationally recognized syllabus all over the world. UNODC is promoting it, WHO is promoting, India government is part of developing this manual, because Colombo Plan, one of the founding member of Colombo Plan is India. So whatever we do in Colombo Plan, India is also part of it. So when I was working in Colombo Plan since last 10 years, I've been coming frequently to government, Ministry of Health and Ministry of Social Justice. I've been working with them also. So this is how, we have come to this training responsibility we have taken up during the pandemic time, and we are continuing with that. And this is the outcome, we are not only just training people, we are trying to also promote their initiatives, therapy as well as prevention programs. Now soon we are starting a prevention curriculum training among the school teachers. And so many of our people are involved in that. So this is actually a platform where actually, they experiment, or they showcase their capacities as a trainer, and then slowly, they join with our team. Over to you, madam. Thank you so much for coming. So it's a highly privilege for us to be having your grace with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I convey my thanks to making me part of this meeting, sir. And like you said, the people who are working with you, they are working on the substance use disorder and the addiction training. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So that is, I should say that's a need of this hour, sir, because I am working in the state of Punjab, and you might be aware that the addiction, the substance use is very high. The illegal substance use is very high in our state, and you asked like the substance use and HIV positivity. So we are not that fortunate because we have a very high positivity among injecting drug users in our states. Like if I quote the data, we have around 12% positivity in injecting drug users as per the last survey done by Government of India. The recent data is still awaited, but there are areas, there are districts which are really having a very, very high positivity, and our state is really working very hard to control, to halt this, transmission of HIV among this population. So I do feel, sir, the training you are doing, like on this platform, I heard it, and I came to know from Dr. Dhillon also about this training on the addiction and substance use disorder. And I do feel that Dr. Dhillon is part of this training, and he will be an asset for our SATS also. He is at present also. So he will be a real, resource for us. And further, he can change our medical officers and paramedical staff to how to deal with this addiction disorders and issues related with that. So I do feel honored also to be part of this platform, and I'll see if any of your program where I am eligible, I'll try to be part of that in the future, sir. Thanks for making me part of this meeting, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meena. Yeah. Anyway, we couldn't see you. I don't know whether you forgot to put you in video. Yes.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
nice to.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming in video. So,
Thank you, sir.
so if you are free, you can stay a little more time. Now we are starting with Dr. Dhillon anyway.
Okay.
I think he is going to speak about the psychoactive substances, yes. So, doctor, are you ready? Shall we start our program? Ramya, you have anything to say?
Yes, if you could announce the order of the participants, it would help them. And Luella ma'am has requested that.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. So the order, shall we just have an understanding before you start? You start with Dr. Dhillon, and then Ramya, you want to be the second one, or you little later? No problem.
Little later, sir. We can give Luella ma'am to
Yeah,
finish.
Luella ma'am second. Can you write down the order? Yes, please. So and third, who wants to be in the third? First, Shalini, you want to be?
No.
I'll be there, sir.
Yeah, Shalini or
light
sorry.
colors.
The third one is Shangri-La. Okay. And the fourth is Shalini.
Okay.
Is that okay? And the fifth is who else here from our group?
I can go. Fifth.
Yeah, Ramya can be the fifth one. Sulekha ma'am, can you be this seventh one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, we will be sharing for you, and then
Sixth or seventh, sir.
Sixth.
Sixth.
6 or 7?
Six, no?
Six. Seventh is Revati madam, and then Shangri-La. You will be the second, no? Third, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then who else is present now? We have one or two more. Doctor is Dr. Nasir. You Nasri, you are there. You are silent. You should have been. If you are in a hurry, we can put you a little early also.
Yeah.
If you have
If
some
anyone
practice
has
or something.
I'm okay.
You are okay now? So you
Sir, can I go second because I have to log in from another system? I'll go second.
Oh, okay. So the
So
first
maybe
one,
Luella ma'am can go first if she's ready.
Luella can start also. Yes. Meanwhile, doctor, you can prepare yourself. Yes.
Who wanted to go second? They can
Dr.
go-
Dhillon.
I will
Okay.
go. I will go
Does
second.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dhillon want to go first? It's fine. I can go second. No, if you want
No,
me
no,
to go
no.
first-
Dhillon is not ready, Dr.
Oh,
Luella, you
okay.
can start.
Fine,
No
fine.
problem.
I can go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, great. You are smart enough.
All right. So thank you for this opportunity. I was a little hesitant because I had kind of sessions before this and after, so I was a little worried. But anyway, so today I'm actually going to touch on the first three steps of the 12-step program. That's step 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to deal with it very briefly. And maybe if we have an opportunity to do one more session next time, then psychoeducation session, then I'll go deeper into step 3. So I'm going to focus a little more on step 1 and 2, and then a bit on step 3. So step 1 in the 12-point Alcoholics Anonymous program, which has been worldwide the most accepted and most successful treatment for recovering addicts. The first step, we admitted that we are powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. So when we talk about unmanageable, we're talking about social, personal, professional, and also in terms of unmanageable with the substance. So step 1 really is the admission that there is a problem. Okay, and the problem is the powerlessness. Okay. So to maintain an attitude that we are powerless and that we recovered but not cured. Okay, that is the understanding that it is a disease, and therefore, just like any other disease that one may have, which is chronic, the disease doesn't take a day off. So you have to continue consistently with the recovery program. So what is the symptom of this disease? The symptom is the compulsion to take whatever the substance is. It could be drinking or drugs, drinking alcohol or drugs. No, so it's not only drinking escape, which most of us think that we get addicted because we are escaping from social issues, personal issues, emotional issues, family issues, all these kind of things. But those are really not the only reason. We're not drinking only to escape, but we drink to control the craving. So the symptom is the compulsion of that craving. So it starts with the cues, which are the triggers, and then the triggers cause the craving, and the craving causes a response, which is to then consume the substance, and then of course is the reward, and that reward again reiterates the same vicious cycle, which again triggers. So triggers basically are anything. When you talk to addicts, it's not just problems that are triggers. It's also celebratory occasions. It's also anything is a trigger, right? Because it is not really the trigger, it is the craving. So it's a progressive disease where you can't stop and you lose the power of choice. So step 1 is about the problem. The problem is the powerlessness. Now, when we look at the problem has 2 aspects. There is a physical aspect, and that physical aspect is the allergy. So people who get addicted or have the disease of addiction, they have an allergy, a physical allergy. That is an abnormal reaction to the craving. So many people consume alcohol, but they don't become alcoholics. So why is that? Because they don't have an allergy. But here we have an allergy to the substance, okay? And then there is the mental aspect, which is the disease of the mind. It's an obsession of the mind, the restlessness, the irritability, the discontentment. We call that RID, right? So the mind triggers the body and the body triggers the mind, all right? Leaving us powerless. Now we move to step 2. Step 1 was the problem. Step 2 is the solution. So what is the solution? The solution lies in the mind. There is a power greater than ourselves. What is it? We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So there are two things here. One is the acknowledgement that there is a power greater than ourselves. Okay, and the second part is the acknowledgement of acceptance that there is an insanity in our lives. So finding the power is in the process of the steps from 3 to 10. But acknowledging that power is step 2. To understand that the solution lies in step 2, the first part is the acceptance that there is a power greater than ourselves. In other words, there are two parts. One is we're acknowledging a greater power. The second part of that is that we're acknowledging that we are powerless. And then we're also acknowledging about the insanity. So the truth of this power has to drop down from our heads to our hearts and then into our gut. Our illness, like any other chronic ailment, doesn't, take the day off, as I said. And so you can't take a day off in recovery. It's got to be consistent. Now, there is resistance from the brain. The brain lies to us constantly. The brain will tell you, oh, this is all hogwash. You're being brainwashed. And yes, that's true. Your brain does need a washing. So it's important to understand that we go through this process in step 2, where there is denial, where we are sort of sitting on the fence, unable to accept that there is a power greater than ourselves. There is anger at our own situation and helplessness. There's sadness, which is sometimes goes into depression. And then there's the negotiation, something like when we talk about the stages of change. No? So that's pre-contemplative, and then there's a contemplative stage. So that's when we are negotiating. And then comes the acceptance of our own insanity. We know that if I drink, I can't live without drinking. I can't live with drinking, and I can't live my life either which way. It's hard. So abstinence here precedes understanding, and the process of recovery is equal to WORK, which means there is work to be done. And that work is the action that precedes the understanding. So very often, many addicts may have a problem with who is this God, what is this power, but it can be anything of your own understanding. So what is belief? What is faith, right? So if we were to just look at that and ask the question, how am I still here? Is it coincidence? Is it synchronicity? Or is it divine intervention? Whatever it may be, I'm still here, and I am in a position to make a choice, to choose to recover. So the God, as we understand, means that each one of us will have our own perception. So just to give an example, suppose you're in a football stadium, right? There are 50,000 people watching the match, watching the football game. Now, do you think that every person in the football stadium is perceiving the game in exactly the same way? What do you think? Yes, no? I don't think so.
No.
I'm getting a response. Anyway,
No.
So obviously, each one perceives the game differently. Nobody is wrong. Everybody is right, because what they see is what they see, right? So to understand that our perception of God can be anything that we understand it to be. And when we look at, I'm sorry, I'm getting something on the screen.
Yes.
Is that supposed to be there? Sorry. I didn't put any screen up.
Yeah, don't share any screen, okay? Somebody must be testing if it is working. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It is Stephen Mascarenhas.
Stephen, don't do that.
They can stop share. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And Luella, you need not get into the third step also. Even 2 steps are very good enough, because of your
Okay,
time
great.
is almost coming to the Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
great. So I'll
okay.
wrap up with the second step. Maybe
Yeah,
next
that's
time I
fine.
could do step
Yeah,
three.
1 and 2
All
are very
right.
important.
So to understand that the God of our understanding is what we need to accept, right? And when we think about the choice, when I don't choose that power, I don't choose to accept that power. If I choose to accept that power, I have nothing to lose. If I choose not to accept that power, I have everything to lose because I'm not going to change, right? So when we think about what is God or what is, who is this power, we really need to understand that God or that power would rather us seek the truth than God, because it's only a matter of time before you will fall into the arms of God. By seeking the truth. So faith is a practical application of our belief. It's a walking belief, something that's already seeking you and you have to let it catch you. So in other words, what we're doing is we're being honest. And step 2 is not just about the vertical connection with the power that's greater than us, but also to connect horizontally, to connect with fellowship groups, to connect with support groups, and to keep moving forward, even if we don't see the insanity. So many of us would say, well, I'm not really insane. I'm still functional. I still have a job. I still belong to a family or whatever it is. And sometimes we don't see the insanity. But as you heal, you will see it, because when we abstain, which is the solution, abstinence will have 3 problems. It has a bodily reaction, which is the withdrawals. There's the reaction of the mind, where the problem is not when I drink, the problem is when I don't drink, right? I don't feel okay. There's the obsession, there's the persistent recurring thoughts, and it doesn't respond to reason, right? And then there's the emotional effect, which is RID. I did mention it earlier, the restlessness, the irritability, and the discontentment. Under restlessness, there are so many different emotions that I'm not going to enumerate now because of lack of time. Under irritability, there'd be anger, there'd be frustration, so many things. And under discontentment, unhappiness, sadness, so many things, right? But to understand that our thinking is such that we feel, how I feel is more important than anyone or anything. And alcoholism is a life sentence, not abstinence. So when we are at that point of making that choice, at that turning point of accepting that there is a power greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity, we understand that making that choice to accept that is not a life sentence. It is alcoholism that is the life sentence. And therefore, we need to make that choice in order to move on to step 3, which is fostering resilience. And we'll talk about that next time. So thank you very much for your patient listening. I hope I made some sense.
Thank you, Luella. You really made sense. It was a wonderful program about the first 2 steps. Great. Even the very basic steps of actually AA is these 2 steps. The first one is acceptance of the problem, and the second is surrender to a higher power. See, I have failed, I need help. So great, congratulations, thank you. Next, yeah, thank you, Luella. Did well, even without slides. Dr. Dhillon, as all of you know, that he has been very active with SUD since last 10 years. And he has been also a resource person for our Hindi session. So over to you, Dr. Dhillon. Thank you. Please go ahead. Yes. 8 minutes, maximum 8 for you, because you are a boss. We are giving you 8 minutes. Otherwise, all 7 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Is my slide visible?
Visible, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sorry for the technical glitch which happened because of my PC issue. So without wasting any time, my topic for the day is overview of addictive substances. Let us see what are these. So either you say psychoactive substances or you say psychoactive drugs or simply drugs in a layman term. All these are different terms with the same meaning. A drug is any substance which when consumed, it modifies one or more function in a body. Take for an example, ibuprofen, which is used as a painkiller. It's simply a drug. And what are psychoactive substances? If you break the term psychoactive, psych means your mind or brain, and active means it produces some action on the mind. So basically it produces change in the mental processes, which is mood, thought, consciousness, and your behavior. So that's why a person who uses substance behaves in a certain way. So addiction, as we know, is not a curable thing like many other non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes. It can also be managed and can be treated, which is a chronic medical brain disease. That is why we call it as a chronic medical brain disease, because it involves biological, environmental, and psychological factors and processes, which makes a person to take a substance in a compulsive manner because the system gets hijacked. So because it acts on a particular area in the brain, as we know, reward pathway, which makes a person to take that substance in a repetitive manner, which makes it a drug seeking behavior. So that is why a person say, I want to take drug, and all other activities, important activities of his life are taken over by using of that particular substance. So on the basis of various things, the addictive substances or drugs, they are classified on the basis of legality, the mode it is taken, the source from where it is procured, the action on the brain, and the chemical class. And we'll see them in the upcoming slides. So on the basis of the legality, certain drugs in our country are approved by the government for recreational purposes, alcohol and tobacco, for example. And there are certain drugs, prescription drug like benzos and cough syrups, which are also approved by government for on sale of prescription by a doctor, which can also be misused. And there are illegal substances whose consumption, production, and use and sale all is prohibited. And these are largely governed by NDPS Act here in India. And the substances are ganja, heroin, cocaine, LSD. Other thing is, on the basis of intake, we have oral route of intake, we have inhalation, we have parental routes. And the examples are alcohol for oral, opium, cigarettes, and ganja. These can be smoked or inhaled. And there's heroin and Fort Wayne injection, which can be injected. On the basis of source of drug, there are natural drugs where the active ingredient is, or the chemical is taken from naturally occurring source of plant based. For example, poppy plant, we get opium and heroin. There's semi-synthetic, you put something, you take a plant component and you put something in it and you produce a semi-synthetic component. And there is a synthetic component, compound, which is completely produced in the factories. And on the basis of action produced on the brain, we have depressant, which decreases the brain activity and reduces the alertness. So examples are alcohol, opioids, sedative hypnotics. There are stimulant class, which increases the activity of the brain and ultimately increases the alertness of the person. And the examples are cocaine, tobacco, and caffeine. And there are another class, hallucinogens, which alters the perception of reality. You may see something which is actually not there. You may hear something which is actually not there. So examples are LSD and ketamine. On the basis of the chemical class, the substances are categorized, and we'll see each one following slides. There's alcohol, which is the active ingredient in it is ethyl alcohol. And on the basis of the concentration of the ethyl alcohol, from the lower spectrum, we have beer, and on the higher end of concentration of ethyl alcohol, we have country-made liquor. which contains approximately 25 to 42% of this ethyl alcohol. And what are its effects? It's a brain depressant. It heightens the mood prior to the intake, be it sadness or happiness. It impairs the judgment and performance. And some may use in the party to just for its disinhibitory effect and to open it up. And there is cannabis, and the active ingredient is tetrahydrocannabinol, and it is produced from a plant component which is cannabis sativa, and on the basis from where it is prepared, it is categorized into bhang, ganja, or charas. And on the basis of THC content, the bhang is the least containing THC active ingredient, and hash oil has the most highest concentration of THC. The effects are it increases the tendency to fantasize, and there is euphoria and feeling of wellness followed by drowsiness. And a person may do driven activity, which means he's doing meaningless activities and he knows it's meaningless and he's unable to control. It also acts as a hallucinogen when taken in larger amount. There are sedative hypnotics. The examples are benzos and barbiturates, and these are pharmaceutical products. It is also brain depressant, produces sedation, and it relieves the anxiety. And this can also be misused. There are stimulants, which are like cocaine, which is derived from coca plant. And there are amphetamine type of stimulants. Most common is methamphetamine. And these are mainly used by younger people in parties. And these are stimulating drugs. And after taking it causes extreme rush and flash. There's another category, hallucinogen. These basically produces distortion of perception, the way you see and hear things. This drug is also being used by younger people, and it is LSD, ketamine, and mushrooms. And lastly, volatile substances are there. The main thing about it, it is not used for human consumption, and people and mostly children use it. And these are petroleum products, and they are produced, these examples are petrol, ink remover, and things like that. These are also brain depressant and produces alcohol-like effect. And in higher doses, it may be hallucinated. And lastly, tobacco, which is derived from Nicotina tabacum. The major addictive component is nicotine. It is a stimulant, and examples are cigarettes, bidi, hookah, canny. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Over to you.
Excellent. Exactly 7.54 minutes. Huh? Great. Huh? So with this short time to speak about psychoactive substances, all classifications, everything is really great. And that is a good sort of a capacity, we can say, no, to compress things and give it to people in a ready-made capsule format. So thank you, Dr. J.S. Dhillon. Excellent job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now over to Shangri-La. Shangri-La, yes. Shangri-La has been part of our batch 1, I think. Is
Batch
it?
2, sir.
Batch 2. Yes, doctor. Yes. Okay. So over to you.
So is my screen seen?
It is visible. Yes.
Right.
Common
So,
traits of adult children. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to talk about adult children and basically what is the terminology adult child. The adult child refers to individuals who've grown up in dysfunctional families, and as adults, they react to life situations from a childlike perspective. And these are very important. This is a very important state of mind because it can it affects people at a later age in life, say in the mid-20s or later, and it does have a significant effect on the performance, life quality, workplace performance, productivity, etc. And so it's an area which really requires attention, especially when dealing with families of alcoholics, addicts, or any other dysfunctionality. The most important aspect of an adult child is this particular behavior or the tendencies or traits that they pick up are generational. And very often, 3 or 4 generations of the family will transmit or exhibit the same traits, and therefore it is very deeply entrenched and pervasive way of thinking, which may not even be visible to the family because they are all living in the same conditions. That is the normal for them. Some of these traits can be learned in the pre-verbal stage as well. It is now, the research is showing that even in the womb, in vitro, a child can pick up vibrations, a child can pick up fear and other sensations which the mother is feeling. And as a small child, even before it has language, it is picking up feelings and from the atmosphere, etc. Much of this is inculcated in the childhood when the child is taking on the behavior traits from parents and other caregivers as his primary model. The different family types where adult children are seen from could be alcoholic, could be a perfectionistic family, could be a militaristic family where there is a lot of authoritative behavior. There could be hypochondriacs, which is very often the drug addict are taking drugs like Dr. Dhillon mentioned. Ibuprofen is a drug, and the patient or the parent could be self-medicating, and they could be a hypochondriac. There are also cases of family sexual abuse, especially incest, which needs to be taken care of, and as well as emotionally ill parents who could be suffering from any of the mental disorders, be it schizophrenia, bipolar, or borderline, etc. I'll just very quickly run through what are the chief characteristics of such adult children. Is they will find themselves isolating, unable to react with the normal social settings, and they will avoid authority figure, which means they could be oppositional disorders. They would refuse to take orders, or they would work in isolation and not as a team member. People pleasing is a major problem, where they are extremely changeable and they will adapt to any given circumstance very seamlessly, almost like a chameleon. They will fit in, but we may not see their real personality emerging. Very poor at confrontations, receiving negative feedback, very scared of any criticism which sounds judgmental. They may exhibit similar compulsive behavior as the parents or the primary caregivers. So very often, if we look at an alcoholic's history, we might find similar alcoholic patterns. And while taking patient history, often it is important to go into the family background to see where there might have been either genetic or behavioral addiction present. Identifying with other victims with an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, unable to stand up for themselves. Major issue comes with this seventh trait, which is thrill or drama seeking. It's also called the inner drug pharmacy, where whereas a drug addict might be taking drugs through external means, an adult child is able to generate enough adrenaline, enough cortisol in their own system by getting angry or by getting depressing themselves. And so the negative class of inner drugs can be activated by them through their behavior. And that could be thrill seeking or drama seeking or extremely emotional, etc. I think I'm running out of time, so I will quickly go to how we can identify. Is often secondary addictions where there is a family history of addiction or family history of abuse is used to identify. So secondary addictions of such people could be such adult children could be alcoholism, drug taking, food or overeating, shopping, rageaholic, or behavioral issues like oppositional disorder. There is extreme denial in these patients because they will come across and their abuse and neglect is normal for them. And there will be complex PTSD, and complex PTSD is a relatively new term, which is small incidents of trauma accumulating over childhood and the pre-verbal and the verbal stages of childhood, and which are unresolved, often resulting in dissociation where the reality is too difficult for the child to manage, and therefore they either leave home physically or they leave mentally. we can talk more about that on another day. And the different types of abuse which children often in such places come across is physical violence, neglect, including food, malnutrition, education, basic safety and sanitation. There could be verbal or emotional abuse. Sexual incest is very common. Inner self-talk of such individuals is extremely critical and judgmental, which is often referred to in 12-step programs as the inner critical parent. I've listed down these. I'm happy to share with anybody who wants it because I'm running out of time. There is an organization just like Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon. There is another organization called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families, which is also a 12-step program. And there they have this laundry list, 14 traits of an adult child. There is a website which is dedicated to this particular fellowship, which is up there on your screen. There is a basic text. Sorry, I'll just quickly go through this, is to say that there is a need for ACA-aware counselors in India. And so it is highly recommended that this is a basic fellowship text, just like the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is the big red book of Adult Children of Alcoholics. And it is encouraged to see people, if they are aware of it, we can recommend them as therapists for such people. You can help your client seek identification by using a 25 questions questionnaire, which is available on the website, और इसकी हिंदी प्रश्नावली मेरे पास उपलब्ध है. अगर किसी को चाहिए तो मुझे बता दें. धन्यवाद आप सभी लोगों का. Thank you everybody for giving me this time to share about this particular aspect of families of alcoholics and addicts. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thomas and Dr. Meenu.
Thank you, Shangri-La. So in fact, we have studied about the family, the children of alcoholics, but not very specifically about the adult children of alcoholics. So they pass through very unique problems, and she has also put us in touch with some fellowships which are available actually to help adult children of alcoholics. She has shared that details, so people can contact her if in case in some of the families, some of the adult children are actually having issues and they would like to be part of a fellowship to cope up with the situation. Great. Contact Shangri-La. Thank you, Shangri-La. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much. Now we have Shalini from Delhi, New Delhi. You have a slide, Shalini? Shalini is also working.
Yes, I do have a slide. I do have a slide. I shall share the same.
Okay, great. And she's a trainer already. She's a psychologist, and she has been very actively involved in many community-based prevention programs in New Delhi. Thank you. Over to you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I shall just share the same.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Shalini, if you can also come in video, great. Huh? Yeah. Okay. You can go ahead. Yes. We can see the slide.
Please put in a presentation mode.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah. This is some
And
more
the slide is with.
information about adult children of alcoholic. Good. We need to have these kinds of topics. Great. Okay. So let's see what you are.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to talk about adult children of alcoholic. Ms. Shangri-La has already shared a lot about the same. I've just put a little bit in pieces about, how do they turn, and why did I choose these, this as a topic is because I work with children. They are very close to my heart. And I think that, it is not that one becomes a bureaucrat or a doctor or, some successful person, as per the society remark, is because of his or her ability only. I think society, family plays a very important role for making a child, for molding a child into the kind of adult he or she becomes. So here I shall start the same. Thomas, sir, please keep reminding if I exceed on time, though I have the timer on. So is it better if I like play like this? Because there is some trouble while playing like that.
Okay, go ahead. We can read it anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is an adult child of alcoholic? Can I have some participation, please? What do you think? Who is an adult child of alcoholic? Okay. So any person who grew up in a home with one or more parental figures addicted to drugs and or alcohol. So as Shangri-La ma'am just said, dysfunctional family, where a father or a mother, and not necessarily a father or a mother, in case of joint family, it can be a grandfather, a maternal father, maternal uncle, maternal aunt, so, or a paternal uncle, anybody. So anybody who is addicted with drugs or alcohol can make the family work in a different way, which is out of norms, which is out of the set rules. So what are the typical characteristics of an alcoholic family? Any idea, any view on that? Right.
Yeah,
So
audience can respond, okay? Okay.
So typical characteristic of an alcoholic home or a dysfunctional home, as you know, there is a fear. There is a fear in the house because the members of the family are not aware if the evening is going to be smooth or the morning is going to be this smooth, because they don't know the person who is addicted, how he's going to come, how he's going to behave after coming home. Or if I come home and if I'm living in a family which is alcoholic home, I don't know if I enter home, how is my dad going to react if he's an alcoholic, or how my mom is going to react. So there's always a fear. Then family acts differently inside and outside of the home. So maybe, there is a big quarrel inside the house, but if they have to go out and attend some ceremony, they'll be very nice with the people around. So here the enabler, one of the partner, one of the member is enabler who tries to hide these things, and the family and the child is not able to decide, my parents were fighting back at home and they are behaving normally now. So the child's mind is not ready to accept that situation. Family focus on alcoholic. Now there are kids in the house who need attention, who need more of time, who need more of participation. But the entire attention is on the person who is alcoholic. There is a big confusion lying in the house. The children are not aware what they have to do, because since, maybe father is addictive, the son or the daughter is taking care of that role, or the mother is addictive, the kids are taking care of that role. So they are not very clear who has to do what. Here it is where when we say that, the roles and the norms are very different. Inconsistency with the daily activities, like the dinner time is not at 9 o'clock, somebody is eating at 12, or somebody is maybe missing the meal. Parents are not home, they are missing, they're in the parties, different sleep schedules, and so on. How these kids turn into be, because the parents' behavior definitely make a mark. The environment is molding the kids. So these are the 5 things I have identified, not me. So, it is a part of research, and these are the 5 category which has been identified. I'll just briefly discuss them. So discuss this. See, enabler, where the child is helping the father. Hero, who's a Superman kind of person. Scapegoat, who's being blamed for everything. Lost child knows nothing. And mascot is the clown. So here it is. Who's the chief enabler? The chief enabler is that child who offers the family a sense of stability and protection. What he behaves like, he just hides everything. He tries to shield everything, and he pretends that, everything is normal. There is no problem back at my home. So he is the person who's chief enabler, and he or she is going to be the child of the house. What they feel, they're exhausted, they're angry, hurt, resentment, helpless, hopeless, guilt, anxiety, fear. They are not raised as a kids who have proper life skills. We being I'm a mother and I have a son who's 10 years old, And I take care of each and every life skill. And I keep telling, understand your emotion, why you are feeling so, have a problem solving skill. But these kids go unattended, and the kind of feelings they develop leads here. The next one is the family hero. Another child, who become as an adult, he becomes like the family hero. What he does or what he says, he feels that, I can do everything. He has a very strong motivation, but that motivation is not positive motivation. At times it can lead into trouble. At times he feels exhausted also, but out of all, he still sails well. So what are his behaviors? He will achieve, extremely well. He will excel. He will, like, we have a saying in Hindi that "Kichad mein kamal khilta hai." So the family hero is that kind of person. There will be anxiety. There will be feeling of inadequacy. There will be resentfulness. He'll keep blaming his own self. He'll not understand that, the environment is responsible for this situation, but he will feel it was only because of me that these set of things have happened. And he will always be alone. He will just hide his feelings and speak less to people around. As an adult, the child will have very unrealistic sense of control and need to control. He'll become as an authoritative person. For everything, he needs approval. He'll lack that confidence, and for everything he needs approval for maybe from his wife, or from child, or from father, or from mother, or from somebody around. He lacks that level of confidence, and he takes over, he feels overly responsible for anything and everything. Before anybody could say anything, he will say, okay, I am going to do this thing, which makes him pressurized and stressful in future. The family scapegoat. This is the bacha, this is the person who's like, I'll quickly finish it up. He's the person who will just blame his own self for everything. There is an anger in this child. He's always confused. He will not speak less. He will not speak a lot. He'll always speak less. And as an adult, he will have relationship difficulty. He'll have a very poor problem-solving skill. And throughout his life, he will face something or the other as a problem, as a part of problem. There is a lost child. He's a lonely child. He will not speak about anything. He's very quiet. He'll not speak to people around him at any stage of his life. He will speak, but he'll be an introvert. He'll try to keep his own self into his own boundaries. Now, as an adult, he may face depression, and the coping strategy is again that he will fall into alcohol and drug problem. Each and every category of child has high probability of falling into usage of drugs and addiction. The last one is the family mascot who tries to seek attention by being the clown, and he's the one who doesn't understand his own emotions, and he faces problem at school and as he grows at work. Now, how to treat the adult child of an alcoholic? Group therapy is most useful. Then we create an atmosphere of trust where these children can just speak about, what they are facing, or if they have grown as an adult, they can just speak about their past, which will definitely give them a sense of relief. And that is the secret which they will speak about. Then communication of sadness and anger, validation of all feelings, absolution of blame, telling them about alcoholism, and as our previous speaker said, use of a support group, which is adult child of an alcoholic. There are numerous such support groups which are extremely helpful. Thank you so much. Sorry for exceeding the time. Thank you for your valuable participation.
Thank you, Shalini. Excellent presentation. Beautiful. Because we could hear two different angles, from about the adult children of alcoholics, what they are passing through. So you have actually given us the roles taken by the children of an alcoholic family, beautifully narrated. Shangri-La also have done very good. These kinds of topics, which are in fact not covered in a very big way, it is nice that you take up so that everybody who comes and become part of it get also a lot of information. Thank you. Now over to Ramya. Ramya, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Ramya, and today I will be talking about stigma, especially social stigma, and keeping in mind that I have only 7 minutes, so I'm going to literally skim through. This is not something that none of you know about, but this is more about my presentation skills. So here we go. Can you all see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Ramya.
Okay. So why should we, so today we are going to talk about what is stigma, why we should talk about stigma, and how does this come in the purview of SUD treatment and prevention. I want to start with a simple question that all of us engage in. All of us would have discriminated someone for something. I would like some volunteer to, we are still at under 1 minute so far. So I want a couple of people to just come forward and say, what is that one thing that you kind of shamed or judged a person for? Like, for example, I used to judge people who wear red lipsticks. So this was a while ago, but I had an opinion about them, and in my mind there was a judgment. Of course, now I do wear red lipstick because my perspective has changed and I don't judge people for that. So, and I myself have been judged and stigmatized for my weight, appearance, and a number of other things. So, two people, if you can come forward and say how you felt judged and how you judged someone. Anybody?
Please, everybody, audience.
Yes, Ramya, I would like to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Please. Thank you.
it's true. As a child, I used to feel very stigmatized, especially, I mean, I was a little overweight. And of course, the complexion also. And here in Kerala, people are very much bothered about the complexion. And it was something, oh, she's very fair, and she's a little plump, and all those things, So that's stigmatization is something very hurtful at that age. But
Yes.
over a time, you start understanding it's nothing at all. It's
True,
all.
but yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Do you want to quickly say if you judged anyone? Otherwise, I'll move to Nandita.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I have been, I've experienced that, so I've never done that. Yeah.
Okay. Nandita, quickly.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I was always judged for two things. One, always being that overweight person, which I have a major complex about even today. Two, I'm a total tomboy, live in jeans and t-shirt, which I'm not changing about. What I'd like to confess, this is a very big confession. And I would say the humility came when my daughter gave me a firing as a teenager. I would judge people basis the religion they followed. And I'm truly sorry for it, because today I visit a church and temple every Thursday. So that's the big change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It takes a lot of courage to come forward and be open about it. There is practically nobody on the planet who has not judged someone for something. Judgment is so human, and judgment is something that happens very innately, and it happens continuously, because without judgment, we won't know whether we are under threat, whether we are safe, whether we are feeling okay to be part of something. So that judgment we cannot get rid of, but what we can do as professionals is learn to put aside judgment, which a lot of us who are counselors know how to do that. Okay, that said, thank you so much for sharing. Let's see what we are talking about today. I'm at 3.5 minutes, so I'll go a bit fast. So what is stigma? Stigma is a lot about naming, blaming, and shaming. And we all know the kind of words that are used for people who are suffering from substance abuse. There are so many words, we already know this. I'm preaching to the choir. So let's distinguish between guilt and shame, because this is one of the things that I feel one needs to learn. This is something I teach all my clients as well, because because stigma is a lot about shame. Guilt, from my understanding, is that I have done something wrong, and shame is there is something wrong with me. I mean, imagine to carry that feeling that there is something wrong with me versus I did something wrong, wherein you can move from I did something wrong to maybe I can correct this. So that is how powerful stigma is, because it's about shame. Now, taking a little bit from the UTC material, quickly, let's just see what social stigma is. Social stigma is what the entire society does, where a person gets shamed by individuals, organizations, groups. But what can it do? It can cause severe social disapproval, and especially in this field, it can make a person feel abnormal and feel discriminated. And most of this stems from fear, ignorance, and prejudice. Now, the other thing that it can do is really isolate a person. It can isolate a person's suffering from stigma, and which can lead to a person's loss of status, may get excluded from participating in social activities, may not be motivated to be on the path of recovery. Now, if there is a lot of research that says that stigma is one of the biggest causes for people to feel isolated, to people to that prevents people from seeking life-saving treatment options. And this is not something that happens in silos. This is a systemic issue. This is something that happens in the public. It's part of the system which prevents access and care, and it's also internalized. So shame is something that we carry in our bodies, and shame can transform into disease. Shame can transform into a number of coping mechanisms, and those coping mechanisms can be substance abuse. So, which is why we must address stigma as professionals. And we can do that only if we all come together, understand stigma, and fight that with our clients. So with that, I end my presentation. Any questions? Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, any questions you can ask this time?
Yeah, yeah, I closed at 7 minutes.
Yeah, fine. Because one minute flexibility we give to everybody.
Okay. Sorry, I had to rush through this because I wanted to cover everything, but anyone has a question, I'm happy to answer. So I guess that's my set.
No question means it's very clear.
Okay.
Very good.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Ramya. Nothing to say about your excellent presenter, good communication skills. Using the brainstorming and different techniques also involving the people and to the point and within the time. That is very important. Like how much of time we have, we should be able to communicate. Excellent job, Ramya. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So next is Sulekha. Yeah, Sulekha, your slide is ready here. So over to you, Sulekha.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Emotional health. Okay. Sulekha is a senior.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, let me just
Respected chief guest, Dr. Meenu Singh is there, I suppose, and our mentor, Dr. Thomas, and the team of EcoLink. Well, emotional health, something which is we hear about it a lot. But at the same time, we don't give much of importance to it. When we talk about emotional health, it is a state of well-being. It's a state of well-being. And normally what happens is, like we see the smiley here. You see the one on the right-hand side at the extreme, the smiling. It's not always possible to smile, but then we can smile away and just do away with our worries and stress and all. So that is something, this is a thing which it says, smile, and take away your worries, And that's easier said than done, of course, but we should all try to do that. And especially as the therapists, our emotional health is something which is very important in order to treat our clients. So let's see how we go about and what is emotional health. The next slide, please. All right, emotional health. Yeah, the emotional health. It discover the secrets of emotional control, and relieve your pains, improve your life, and include anxiety, depression, and stress. So this is what it includes. That is, we need to, when we are emotionally healthy, we'll be able to get rid of all the anxiety and depression and stress. So the next slide, please. Now, the emotional health, it is something which is the base or maybe the foundation for a total health. We get a healthy mind, our behaviors become healthy, our relations with the communities, it improves, and our finances also improve, and we have a purpose driven in life, a purpose in life. And in a way, we can say that all the wheels of life, the entire wheel of life, we have many wheels of life. We can talk about health, career, love, spirituality, finance, and also, we can talk about family, fun, and friends. Everything comes in place, gets into place. The next slide, please. Now, emotional health, how do we define it? It involves the absence of symptoms associated with mental health and substance abuse conditions. But emotional health is also a state of general well-being that enables each person to experience joy, meet the demands of everyday life, be resilient, and pursue his or her potential. And I would like to say that this is normally what happens is we normally interchange, just a minute, please. We normally what happens is the mental health and emotional health is always interchangeably stated.
I think.
Yes. So what is the mental health in a way? We say that the mental health, it is something which we label that examines and determines how your mind is understanding and processing any information or experiences you gain out of life. Whereas what is emotional health? It is something which we manage and express all the emotions that surface from those experiences and things that you've learned. And this is the difference between the mental and the emotional. And now, of course, the next slide, please. Your present circumstances don't determine where you are. We can go. They merely determine where you start. So that's the beginning. We can always have a change in our emotional status. The next slide, please. Your worst enemy cannot, this is by Lord Buddha, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. So our negative self-thought, negative thought which we do many a times is something which is, detrimental in our progress of emotional health. We need to change our negative thoughts and talk. Negative talk, we normally talk to ourselves in a negative way. And we say we are not good, we are not able to do justice to what we do. Many a times it's we ourselves, like Ramya was talking about the stigma. It's also sometimes self-inflicted. Stigma can also be self-inflicted. The same way, the emotional health also is sometimes self-inflicted. It is said, nobody can make you feel inferior but we ourselves. Many a times we ourselves make ourselves feel inferior. The next slide, please. Okay, what is emotional health problems? What are the problems which we face? When we have an emotional instability, we get severe headache, insomnia, we don't get sleep in the night. And then, of course, the next one is, again, can you just raise it, please? Yeah, we have fear, we have anxiety, we get anger, and then we become hysterical in our ways. So these are all the problems which we face when there's an emotional trauma. The next slide, please. Thank you. What are the signs? You may be struggling with emotional health. What are the signs of it? We feel very sad, blue, nervous, or detached. Thoughts of suicidal tendencies come. Increase or misuse of drugs and alcohol, like somebody who's taking a little one drink a day, it may go to more than that. And then, of course, then fatigue, sleeping too much or too little, detaching and withdrawing socially, conflicts with others, losing interest in things you used to enjoy, excessive absenteeism or tardiness, accidents and injuries, sudden or significant deterioration in performance. In case of children and all, we find that. And trouble making decisions and trouble bouncing up back into thing. That is emotional stability. Once we go down, it's always we have the Kensho Satori moments in our life, ups and downs in our life. So the emotional health, when we are able to manage it, we rise above that. Life is not a bed of roses. So definitely there are thorns, but it is the way we come out of it that matters. Next slide, please. Now, what are the ways to cope up? The coping strategy is very important. Learn your emotional language. Many a times when we get upset with something, we blurt out without even thinking. So mind your body, your emotional language, the body language also is important there. Express yourself. Sometimes what happens, everything we keep, thinking, and just keep it in our mind. So sometimes we need to ventilate to somebody whom we know, and we try, that is expressing yourself. Then manage the stress. We should know how to manage the triggers and find out the relaxation methods, which are applicable to it. Develop resilience. Yes, we need to cut out the negative self-talk and evaluate what happened and why you have been feeling like that, and then come out of it. Find a balance. It's always say samachittam, that is how you try to stabilize your mind. Find a balance and take care of your body. That's very important. Exercise, because it releases, when you do exercises, it releases endorphins, and that is something which will be helpful for us to come out of the status of lack of emotional health. And it said that, about 25% of the cases of this depression and all can be tackled if the clients are told to do good exercises and all, it comes out of, they can come out of it. Then the practice mindfulness, that's another one. We have to practice mindfulness, and that also helps us. That is, we have to deliberately think about our breathing patterns. We have to we have to introspect our mind and find out what is wrong with us, and we'll be able, that is mindfulness technique. And connect with others. When it is always, when you have when you are in trouble, have some close associate with whom you can open up and talk about it, and find a purpose in life. Many times, this emotional trauma and all happens because we don't have any purpose in life. So let us find out, especially a person of my age, I need to find out something where I can just find out a purpose for my life of being. We call it ikigai, the reason for being. And all these, and apart from this, I also feel, forgiveness, the practice, the art of forgiveness, that also will help you to be emotionally stable in life. Can we go to the next slide, please? Oh, something wrong with my thing. Okay, the benefits of meditation. What are the benefits of meditation? It reduces stress, and the number of ones, please go through it, because my battery is getting a little off. It can reduce age-related memory loss, improve sleep, helps to control pain, decreases blood pressure. So benefits of meditation, I don't have to tell anybody. Definitely, it's something which is very important. Let's all practice this meditation, which is something which will help us to stabilize our mind. Next slide, please. And now, finally, going to the thing, be yourself, express yourself, trust yourself, love yourself, and empower yourself. So unless and until you are able to value yourself, forgive yourself, bless yourself, only then our life can be smooth. And it's not only for us, it's for the entire people, especially after the pandemic. During the pandemic, life has been very stressful for people. So I felt emotional health is very, very important in this context. So thank you very much. I hope I've not exceeded the time. And thank you, Dr. Thomas, for giving me the opportunity to present this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Sulekha ma'am. Excellent. Very good topic, first of all, because these kinds of topics really give us new insights. Having a good emotional health is definitely a prerequisite, not to stay away from substance use disorder. Whenever we have emotional disorder, it can definitely lead to substance use disorder also.
Yes,
Anyway,
Dr. Thomas, I faced a little challenge, now, just because of the lights going up and down, and something or the other was happening in this remote area. So I was little emotionally upset. What's going to happen? So anyway, that's good. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much. Really good. Great. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Now we have another madam with us, Revati madam. No, Revati, no? Yeah. Nasri,
Yes.
Dr. Nasri, be there. Okay. Don't run away.
I'm still here. I'm here.
Okay. Yes. We will finish everything soon. Yeah.
Sir, can I have my PPT, please?
It's there now. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So I'm Revati. I'm presenting on dry drunk symptoms. Dry drunk is the term that describes the state of an alcoholic or an addict who is uncomfortable even when he is not drinking or taking drugs. When we say dry, it means that he is not using alcohol or drugs. Drunk signifies the display of same deviation in his attitude and behavior which were present during his addiction time. So therefore, there is no improvement in the quality of life. Next slide, please. A dry drunk person is only halfway across the stream. With an effort, he will cross the stream. Otherwise, he will be sinking, which means he will be returning back to alcohol or drugs, going back to alcohol or drugs. So the dry drunk symptoms are classified as three: thought level, feeling level, and behavioral level. So now we are looking at the thought level symptoms, thoughts about the associated pleasures. So the client starts thinking about the pleasures associated with drinking and drug taking. He feels that I had a very good sleep during my alcohol days. The drug user feels that I was having a very good job, doing extremely well during my drug using days. The second one is fear about well-being. So during recovery, in the initial phase of abstinence, client starts feeling very fearful. They feel very fearful about their well-being. They're upset whether they will get into any health issues, or they may be already having health issues like diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes or pancreatitis or any major health issue. And they may be worried why it is not getting cured. So the fear and anxiety will be there. And they are also worried about how am I going to solve my problems or handle my life without drinking or using drugs. So the fear and anxiety is there. So the next slide, please. Changes at the feeling level, loneliness leading to depression. All along, his life has been around his drinking friends or drug using friends. Now he's out of alcohol and drugs. So he feels very lonely, isolated. And even though his family is around him, he feels very lonely. They try to talk to him. They try to cheer him up, but still he's not comfortable at all. He feels very isolated. He isolates himself, resorts to loneliness, thinking about all the past negative things that happened in his life, and this leads to depression. Irritation and anger. So he becomes very irritable and anger. Also, he becomes very critical. He thinks that he's doing a big sacrifice by giving up alcohol or drugs. And he expects others to behave in the way he wants. He demands everything and he expects people to behave the way he wants it to be. If it is not done, he feels very angry, irritable, and agitated. Impatience, which means he expects, he's very impatient. He's expecting results very fast. He has been having a lot of health issues, but immediately after the recovery or the treatment, soon after the starting of recovery, he expects his health to be like, extremely a healthy person. Or else, another example I can give you, he may be jobless during the drug taking days, but soon after giving up alcohol or drugs, he wants to get a high position job. So he's very impatient. He expects results to come very fast. Self-pity. He lives in self-pity. He dwells in self-pity. All the time he thinks, why I have become an alcoholic? Why have I become a drug addict? Why these problems come to me alone? Why am I facing these problems? Everybody is enjoying life outside. Everybody is drinking happily around. So he's starting to live in self-pity. And at a point of time, if self-pity increases to a very great level, it can lead to depression also. Next slide, please. Behavioral level changes, compulsive behavior. So after quitting alcohol or drugs, he may resort to compulsive behavior. For example, an alcoholic can go back to taking ganja or brown sugar, or a drug abuser like a heroin addict can take back to alcohol. So they may indulge in gambling, racing, womanizing. All this will help him to return back or make him go back to alcohol and drugs again. Impulsive behavior. Impulsive behavior is he makes impulsive decisions. He doesn't think a while. He has a big family. He has a lot of financial commitments. He has to settle all the debts, but he goes to the office one day very late. The boss calls and shouts at him for his late coming. So impulsively, he takes a paper, writes the resignation and leaves at the boss's table. What is tunnel vision? We have to, in recovery, we tell addicted individuals to look at life in whole, as a whole. We talk about whole person recovery, which means he has to take care of physical, family, occupational, financial, social, and spiritual aspects in life. He has to look at all the aspects of life. Whereas this client is only towards his work. He becomes a workaholic instead of being an alcoholic. He starts working from early morning in the day till very late night. He doesn't get good sleep. He doesn't eat on time, no medication on time. So he is only looking life in a compartment, not as a whole. Denial and defensiveness. He becomes very defensive. He's in denial. He doesn't accept the problem. He says, you wanted me to come to the treatment. You wanted me to quit alcohol or drugs. I have done that. What else do you want? He keeps arguing. So this leads to a lot of defensive behavior, and it calls for a lot of irritation and anger in the patient. And there's a lot of confrontation also at home. Overconfidence. He makes tall promises. He thinks that he has a willpower and self-control over alcohol or drugs. For example, he will go and be in the midst of drinking friends or drug using friends. And he will say that he will pull up his collar and say, see, I can handle my situation very well. I can be without alcohol or drugs. So progressive loss of daily structure. All the routine has gone now. Every routine that we talked about in the treatment plan, discussing along with the patient, goes for a toss here. So he gets up very late, doesn't eat, doesn't have his breakfast, doesn't attend work on time, doesn't come back on time, no exercising, no recreation, no family time, nothing. So there is a progressive loss of daily structure in everything. So thoughts about social drinking. He finally thinks, I've been abstinent for 3 years. What is wrong if I have a glass of beer? I have been abstinent from heroin for the last 4 years. Why can't I have a little bit of heroin today? So they think they can be in control. So the thoughts about social drinking is there. The next slide, please. Now, if these dry drunk symptoms are overlooked, we are very sure the patient is heading for a relapse. So how to overcome dry drunk symptoms? We have to talk to the family members. In fact, we do have a family program where we do dry drunk or relapse symptoms for the family members, talking about relapse symptoms of the patient so that they are aware of the relapse symptoms. If the patient has a relapse symptoms or dry drunk symptoms, they identify and tell the patient to seek immediate help. Seeking the counseling help at the earliest, talking to the AA member or the sponsor, attending meetings, living one day at a time, taking disulfiram in consultation with the doctor. So these are some of the ways we help the patient to overcome his dry drunk symptoms. If all the dry drunk symptoms are overlooked, we are sure the patient is heading towards a relapse. So the family is also equipped and empowered to deal with relapse, dry drunk symptoms rather, and also help the client to deal with the dry drunk symptoms. So the next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you for your valuable time and the patient listening. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Revati ma'am. A 2-hour
you, sir.
session you have compressed into 8 minutes. Great. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
it's a very, very interesting topic also, like dry drunk syndrome and relapses.
Yes.
So thank you, ma'am.
Thank
We
you.
have very excellent presentations today. And the last presenter of the day is Dr. Nasri from Malaysia. So Dr. Nasri, very love to have you today, no, amidst us. You are the last one, but we look forward to your topic, something very, very, very unique topic. I was so curious to see what it is. So anyway, over to you now.
Thank you very much, highly respected Dr. Thomas and my dear fellow colleagues. My topics for today is kratom use, whether it's a miracle or a menace. Is my slide visible?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, because it should be animation, so it should be function as animation. I try to press here, but I can't. Sorry. All right, this is example of the kratom plants. It is very native to Southeast Asia country because of the humidity, the climate, and the type of soil very special to kratom plants. And look at the kratom leaf. We know that psychoactive substance that present in the kratom leaf that give type of psychoactive drugs like stimulants in low dose, opiate in moderate dose, and sedative effect in high dose. And then all right, then the purpose of putting the type of the kratom leaf there, you look at the winds distribution over the leaf. The two types, the green type and the red type. So there are many type of the wind distribution over the kratom leaf, but the most potent one is the one with green and the red one. So that's the reason why US imported a huge number of kratom leaf from Indonesia and Thailand. because the content of the mitragynine as a psychoactive substance is very, very important. So we're talking about the mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine that present in the kratom leaf. So traditionally, people, the native use kratom leaf as a chew or make it as a tea to boost the energy as well as painkillers. In Malaysia, people in Malaysia like to boil it to a certain duration and to the certain temperature until you get a very nice green yellow color like that, and then they put it as in the plastic bag like this for the purpose of selling to the public. So very easy, you just grab the plastic, the kratom water, and then just suck it from there, or people just make a hole at the below there, then drink the kratom leaf drink. And then this is new phenomena to us in Malaysia, because before this, we don't see this kind of phenomena whereby the arrest, the rate, the enforcement over the conventional drugs now shift to the kratom operation. So look at this, is not new in the past, but now happening in Malaysia, probably a part of Southeast Asia country as well. So last time the enforcement went to the scene, just get the stock of the kratom kratom juice, sorry. And then now the enforcement also found the people who use kratom juice as well as the stock of the kratom. So this is also another phenomena. Seems to be the situation getting worse. And then this also new for us in Malaysia, because you hardly see our youth, our teen people, just drink kratom juice in front of everyone in the public. We know that in our East culture that usually female young people sort of like they're very shame, and then they do not display the kind of attitude, but we do see that currently in Malaysia. So another alarming, the worrying situation whereby it's happened in the southern part of Thailand, whereby people start to use cocktail of kratom juice, whereby they mix with the Coca-Cola, with the cough mixture, with the battery, with the mosquito coil to get the probably extra kick of kratom juice. So we hope that it won't happen in Malaysia, but southern Thailand is very close to Malaysia. So in brief, the kratom or Mitragynina speciosa is a native to Southeast Asia, most of Southeast Asia countries. And traditionally, people mix the drink to boost the energy as well painkillers. But now there's also reported that a lot of so-called belief the medicinal benefits, such as to treat the chronic cough, fever, even to treat diabetes and blood pressure, high blood pressure. Sorry, I have. All right. In terms of pharmacological effects, as I mentioned just now, in low to moderate dose of kratom, with the dose of 1 to 5 grams produce mild stimulant effect. This is very correspond to the native use of kratom, whereby to boost the energy. In the moderate to high dose, roughly 5 to 15 grams produce opiate-like effect. So this again correspond to the opium-like effect that's reported by the kratom users. And unfortunately, very high dose greater than 50 grams produce very severe sedating effects, further suppress of central nervous system and lead to coma, especially when the kratom user mixed with another depressant drug. So is there any potential use? Yes, there is a reported by study done in US where they screen for the anonymous people through the internet. So majority of them say that kratom is used to self-medicate, especially for opiate dependence. So they think that kratom is useful to treat opiate dependence. This again correspond something like we use methadone to treat the opiate dependence. And then it's also for analgesia. 75% of the anonymous people reported that kratom, yes, is analgesic effect, and then lack of energy. Is there any worry about abuse potential? Yes, because FDA had already declared that the psychoactive substance component in the kratom leaf are metrogynine and 7-hydroxymetrogynine that of course lead to the potential addiction in the future, and of course the other complication. It is evident by phase analysis by US FDA in 2018. The FDA commission led by Scott Gottlieb used the artificial intelligence, the 3D computer model, where they highlight, where they able to produce the images of kratom that acts over the opioid receptor. This is very intelligent analysis evident. So therefore, FDA concluded that there is no efficacy, safety of kratom was unclear, was very unclear, no evidence to say that kratom is safe, effective, even though this reported by anonymous study. Sorry, I have the technical problem. Try to press. All right, to conclude my presentations, again, kratom is an interesting botanical drug with the ethno-medicinal values. And then, however, US FDA do not approve the use of kratom. There is no medical use and causes. It can causes serious or fatal complication, despite the report showing some promising medical values. And then, therefore, we really need to conduct the further research study to evaluate the potential benefit versus harm. So the one over the right side, this is the phase trial analysis that led by the US FDA commissioner, Mr. Scott Gottlieb, where they use the artificial intelligence 3D computer technology to simulate the chemical structure of drugs and predict their effect in humans. So true enough, the kratom look at the very nice leaf kind of herbs medication, but it resemble something like opioid through the model. So last one is, so because of the trial, so FDA conclude that there is no safe, or there's no evidence to show that kratom have some medicinal values. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nasri. Very informative, very interesting. Do we have this kratom here in India, Israel, and all in other countries? Do we have it? Revati,
No,
Ramya?
no, sir.
No, sir. Oh, so it is a blessing, or anyway? Yeah, Nasri, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at our ASSIST questionnaire, so where is the kratom? Kratom is the last the agent whereby is under others. So we start with alcohol, the opioid, the cocaine, all that. The last one, others. So when we screen our client, so even though it's not listed under the conventional drugs in the ASSIST questionnaire, but in Malaysia we put kratom in the others, under the component others, if you look at the ASSIST questionnaire. So that's how we screen, and then we try to intervene people use kratom.
Interesting, really. Yeah, very, like new areas of knowledge. So anyway, most of the drugs do have some medicinal values. It acts as a blessing initially for some people, and later, it becomes something different. So anyway, it is same thing for even cannabis also. People say there is something good about that also, but ultimately when a person gets addicted to it, it becomes a boom. Anyway, thank you all 8 of you have done extremely a very good job today. I don't think that we can select the best presenter today, because everybody was doing very well. So we won't get into that adventurous thing today anyway. So we are closing, we are ending our YouTube live now, and then we'll have a little